Namo Narayana. Apadamapahaptaram Dhataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Sriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Vande Vedanta Kapura Japikarakandakam Ramanujacharya Maryanam Chudamani Mahannisham Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yugmarukma Vyamohatastaditarani Trunaya Meni Asmad Guror Bhagavatosya Dayeka Sindho Ramanujasya Charano Sharanam Prabhajye Srimate Ramanujaya Namaha Srimate Vedavyasa Gurave Namaha Srimate Anantacharya Gurave Namaha Namo Narayanaya. At the outset, I deem it a proud privilege and honor to be a participant of Dr. Vedavyasa's memorial online lecture series today. I would like to share my humble impressions of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya as a millennium mentor and the lineage. Sri Vaishnavism is a Visishtadvaita Vedanta. It has hoary antiquity. Bhagavan Ramanujacharya, who lived during 1017, 1137 AD for 120 years, drew its logical content and philosophical postulates from the Upanishads. Hence, Sri Vaishnavism is also known as Upanishad Siddhanta. It has well guarded and popularized by those great men Vedavyasa, Bodhayana, Tanka, Dramida, Guhadeva, Kapadi, and Bhuruchi and others in succession. In the present times, Dr. Ekirala Vedavyasa, the illustrated son of Ekirala Anantacharya, contributed to its modernization of the concept, popularization, and practical observance through his preachings, literature, spoken word, and institutions. Dr. Vedavyasa was basically a professor of zoology at the age of 19 and later became an IAS officer of AP cadre, Andhra Pradesh cadre of 1915 in batch and retired as a special chief secretary to the government of Andhra Pradesh, the combined states, serving for about 30 to 35 years. It is interesting that today happens to be the ARDRA star, the birth star of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. We are discussing something, sharing some ideas about Bhagavad Ramanujacharya as a millennium mentor. In fact, it's a great honor to me to share my views on this, on the emergence and effulgence of Sri Vaishnavism and the contribution of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya and the lineage through the Vedanta Desika and down to Dr. Ekirala Vedavyasa. Sri Vaishnavism is a wonderful concept. You know, the tradition goes that religion of Sri Vaishnavism was first taught by none other than Lord Srimanarayana, to his divine consort, Sri Mahalakshmi. Sri Mahalakshmi taught this to Vishwaksena, the commander-in-chief of the Vishnu forces in Sri Vaikuntham. From him, it was handed over to a series of teachers headed by Nammalvar or Shetagopa. According to the literature, there are 12 Alvars, namely Vaigai, Puda, Peya, Tirumalisai, Nammalvar, Kulasekhara, Periyalvar, Thandaradepadi, Tirumangayalvar, Tirupandiyalvar, Madhuragavi Alvar, and one lady, Andal. Some people exclude Madhuragavi Alvar and Andal and limit the Alvars to 10 instead of 12. There was a religion of ecstatic love for God, that is Vaishnavism. Neither caste, nor creed, nor sex, or anything whatsoever was a barrier to the adoration and admiration of the auspicious qualities of Lord Srimanarayana, Ananta Kalyana Guna Visishta, and his various manifestations. Yada yada ki dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. So different manifestations in different times, whenever there was a havoc, a catastrophe, a peril to dharma, Lord himself takes birth and guards the people and saves the mankind from the scourge of the catastrophes. Madapita yavatayasthanaya vibhutihi sarvam yadeva nijamena madanvayanam Adyasyana Kulapater Bakulabhiramam Srimat Tadanghajugalam Pranamami Murthana. This is an adoration to Nammalvar. These Alvars were the principal propagators of Sri Vaishnavism through their songs sung in Tamil language. They are about 4,000 Nala Ayiram or 4,000 pastimes or songs all put together are known as Nalayara Divya Prabandham. They embody the rare poetic and literary beauty and high philosophical tenets couched in wonderful, simple, beautiful Tamil tongue. Nammalvar was accredited author of Tiruvai or Tiruvai Muli. The Tamil language is slightly difficult to pronounce in Telugu. Certain words are difficult. It is perhaps the predominant literature among the Vaishnava available literatures. And Nammalvar was a predominant personality among the Alvars, and his magnum opus consists of 1,000 songs, Ayiram, relating to the fundamental doctrine of Sri Vaishnavism. The Alvars were more emotional in nature than mystical or metaphysical. They believed in the impermanence of the world and the worldly enjoyments and in the acquisition of liberation by communion with the God, what we call Tadatnyam. It's a four-way connection with the Lord Narayana, namely Sayujyam, Sanijyam, Sarupyam, and Salokyam. They taught more by example, by practice, than by precept or concept. In fact, Alvar means literally one who is totally immersed in divine love. Their outpourings are the natural flow of poetry sprung from the core of their hearts rather than from the tip of the tongue. After these 12 alvars or 10 alvars, Acharya Parampara had taken place. Sri Vaishnavism was greatly promoted and popularized by the Acharyas, beginning with Natha Muni, who blended the Tamil Prabandham with wonderful purports from Sanskrit scriptures. The Acharyas were basically Brahmins, well versed equally in Sanskrit and Tamil languages. They led a very traditional orthodox life and set shining examples for the followers and successors. They laid down various rules, norms, and austerities for the observance of the festivals, fasts, vatas, vows, and customs among the Vaishnavas. Thus, the Acharyas have become makers of modern Sri Vaishnavism as also objects of worship like alvars in homes and temples. In fact, the technical Vedavyasa also can be called an Acharya of the wonderful order in Vaishnavism. Nada Muni is the first of the Acharyas. He was actually known as Ranganatha Muni, but popularly known as Natha Muni. He lived from 824 to 924 AD. It was he who collected all the 4,000 verses or songs called Prabandhams, edited them, popularized them by tuning and arranging singing in the temples. He gave Divya Prabandham the status of Sanskrit Veda in temples. He created Stanacharya posts, whose authority and advice was a guide to the temples and householders, starting from Srirangam temple, which became later the capital of worship according to Vishishtadvaita or Pancharatra Agama. Then followed Pundarikaksha and Sri Rama Mishra. Nathamuni was actually succeeded by Pundarikaksha and Sri Rama Mishra for 2 short periods. Then came Yamunacharya. He lived from 980 to 1038 AD. He was none other than the grandson of Nathamuni himself. Yamunacharya was a distinguished scholar and laid a formidable foundation to Vishishtadvaita philosophy. He wrote scholarly treatises in Sanskrit in defense of Sri Vaishnavism and established orthodoxy of Pancharatra Agama through his works. Siddhitraya, Agama Pramanya, and Gitartha Sangraha. These are his wonderful books. Despite his ardent desire to write a commentary on the Brahma Sutras, according to the Vishishtha, as Adi Shankaracharya did to the Advaita Siddhanta, but died before he attempted it. Now it fell on Bhagavad Ramanujacharya to complete the task. Coming to Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, he was also known as Bhashyakara, Yatiraja, Elai Perumal, Udayavar, and Epperumanar, Tirupavai, like that. His adoration. Yo Nityamachyuta Padambaja Yugma Rukma, Yamohadastaditara Nitrunayamene, Asmat Guror Bhagavatos Dayeka Sindho, Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prabhajye. In the fresh hours of the day, any Sri Vaishnava starts his stotra patams or parayanams or recitations in the morning by just thanking Bhagavad Ramanujacharya with this verse. And he is a Nichataniya, and that means the prayer in praise of him was Chaitrartha Sambhavam Vishnoho Darsana Sthapanotshakam Tundira Mandale Sesham Murtim Ramanujam Bhaje. He was born to Kesava Perumal Somayaji and Kantimati Ammal in Sriperumbudur in Tamil Nadu state, very near to Chennai this side and the Kanchipuram that side, on 13th April 1017, mid-noon, in a traditional Brahmin family. He mastered all Vedas and Shastras by 16 and married at 17 and took a sannyas around 30. When he was 30 years old, he became popular by his Gopura Sandesham, wonderful on the tip of the tower of the temple in the Kustipuram. Ramanujacharya's name is inseparably intertwined with Vishishtadvaita or Sri Vaishnavism. He lived for 120 years from 1017 to 1137 AD. What is Shankaracharya to Advaita? Ramanujacharya is to Vishishtadvaita. Yamanacharya died before Ramanuja became the Acharya, and the small interval was filled up by Mahapurna of Srirangam and Alavandar, Yamanacharya, bequeathed the great three great tasks to Ramanuja. And what exactly Alavandar wanted that something should be done, there are 3 points which Ramanuja has nicely fulfilled. Number 1, the perpetuation of the memory of Parasara. 2, the immortalization of the glory of Nammalvar. And 3, the interpretation of Badarayana's Brahma Sutras according to Vishishtadvaita philosophy. Ramanuja fulfilled these 3 vows set he have promised to Alavandar or Yamanacharya in his lifetime. The name of Parasara Bhatta, the son of Kuresha, and arranged him to write a commentary on Sri Vishnu Sahasranama Stotra. It's called Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. 2. He authorized Kuresha, who is called Kurattalvar, is a Shishya, his disciple, the son of his uncle, Sri Saila Purna, to compose a commentary on Tiruvai Muji of Nammalvar. And last one, third one is he braved a very arduous journey those days to Kashmir, acquired the rarest copy of Vritti of Bodhayana, which was a commentary on Brahma Sutras. Ramanuja went through the Bodhayana Vritti on very great difficulty and composed Sri Bhashya, a masterly commentary on the Brahma Sutras, which was accredited and accorded sanction by none other than Goddess Saraswati. In this connection, it may not be out of place to make a mention about Ekkiral Anantacharya. It is apt to mention about him, the illustrious father of 4 illustrious sons, Dr. Ekkiral Krishnamacharya, Dr. Vedavyasa, Dr. Bodhayana, Dr. Bharadvaja, said to be the incarnations of 4 Vedas in their own right. It so happened, I always deem it a great privilege that I had intimate contact with Ekkiral Anantacharya Swami, the father of our Ekkiral Vedavyasa Garu, when I was working as a lecturer in Vijayawada, who used to go in for evening walk across the Yeluru road in Vijayawada sometime during 1972-74, while he was already 75, I suppose. He used to narrate to me and tell me about Sri Vaishnavism and about his distinguished sons, Dr. Ekkiral Krishnamacharya, aptly called Dr. E.K., and who was a professor those days in Andhra University, and Dr. Vedavyasa, who was his second son, an IAS officer of 1959 batch, and born on Andhra Pradesh cadre. It is interesting that Ramanuja was, like these great illustrious personalities, was a great thinker, an organizer, an administrator par excellence. He apportioned the Sri Vasishtadvaita world. He actually apportioned the Visishtadvaita Sampradaya among 74 Acharya Peethams, what we call dioceses, over each of which he appointed a pious householder as Simhasanadhipati, as he was called. Each Simhasanadhipati carried on propagational work of Sri Vaishnava Siddhanta within his jurisdiction or diocese. Ramanuja authored 9 works also. Then coming to the specifics of Sri Vaishnavism, why we should call Bhagavad Ramanuja as the Millennium mentor, there is a reason. Let me quote Vivekananda Swami, who said, "The movement of Shankara forced its way through its high intellectuality, but it could be of little service to the masses because of its adherence to strict caste laws, very small scope for ordinary emotions." Ramanuja, on the other hand, with a most practical philosophy, contributed greatly. He made a great appeal to the emotions and the entire denial of birthrights of upper classes before spiritual attainments and appeals through popular tongue completely succeeded in bringing the masses back to the Vedic religion. As we know, Ramanuja was called the champion of social equality. In fact, the entire Visishtadvaita philosophy, or Ramanuja Darshan, is so beautifully designed to meet and to reach every soul, especially among the downtrodden and the underprivileged. Visishtadvaita, what we call qualified monism, it prescribes communion with God. It is only possible and attainable after leaving the mortal body, not at all while we are alive. The Saropya, Salokya, Sayajya, or Sanija, whatever we call, they are all achievable only after death. Secondly, God is beyond caste, creed, sex, religion, status, color, or whatsoever. Every creature is equally entitled to divine worship, divine grace, and divine entitlement. And thirdly, Bhagavad Ramanuja established ascetic order of Jiyar institution, right from him down to the Jiyars of our times, who were the followers of Ramanuja Sampradaya. It is predominantly followed in Srirangam, Melkote, Kanchipuram, Tirumala, Bhadrachalam, Simhachalam, Srikurmam, Yadadri in Andhra and Tamil Nadu states in these temples. The daily worship in the temples is organized according to Visishtadvaita philosophy promoted by Ramanuja and through his descendants of tradition as Archaka Swamis. Even in Tirumala, Bhagavad Ramanujacharya has modernized, has revolutionized the entire system and created a wonderful chart of activities on routine basis and also on fairs and festivals, what shall be done, what is the procedure of worship and all that. Fourthly, Nagara Divya Prabandham, consisting of 4,000 Tamil songs or verses, is given equal status on equal footing with Sanskrit Veda in temples and houses. We see during Srivari Brahmotsavas in Tirumala, when the gods' procession goes, the Ekangis, preceded by Jiyangar Swami, they take precedence. So the first brigade, the first team that follows in the divine procession was only Divya Prabandha Seva or Jiyangas, Tamil Vedam, and Sanskrit Veda was closely follows behind the Lord's procession. So that way, he reformed the rituals, procedures of worship, daily routines, fairs and festivals in Tirumala and other prominent Sri Vaishnava temples. He stayed in Srirangam for 17 years as the chief administrator of temple and brought about wonderful reforms. For 20 years, he toured different places, Divya Desams, 108, there are 108 Divya Desams according to Vaishnava Sampradaya. He toured each of them and by foot mostly. It's interesting and inspiring to share. B.B. Nanchar, the name itself suggests this name relates to a non-Hindu denomination. It's an interesting story. There is a legend. B.B. Nanchar's story is famous among Sri Vaishnavas. It is said that Ramanujacharya brought back the most respected idols of Selvapella. Some people call Chellapella, or he is actually Sampath Kumara, Edugrisa Sampath Kumara, Selvapella, to Melkote. Along with B.B. Nanchar, daughter of the Delhi Sultan, who fell in love with Sampath Kumara or Selvapella. This is according to one legend. He promoted and pampered Chartada Vaishnavas or Satana Vaishnavas, differently it is called in different times, and granted them honor, dignity, and responsibility of worship. Chartada Vaishnavas, Maladasaras, and Madhikadasaras were actually the true Hindus who have not actually changed, converted to other religions even now. And they were given importance as Vaishnavas and granted them Pancha Samskaras. Perhaps none other did so much for these downtrodden and underprivileged as Bhagavad Ramanujacharya had done. Later on, in Andhra Pradesh, Peddajiyar Swamiji and other Jiyas now and Dr. Ikral Vedavyasa followed suit. And we will be missing a wonderful mention if you don't name them in this connection. And then shunning untouchability and admission of Dalits into temples, arrangements of mass feeding or Tadiyaradhana, what we call, or you usually call them Nityanadana Seva. There is no question of Dhanam or Dharmam, it is only Kainkaryam. We call them Tadiyaradhanam. Nitya, Anna Prasada, Vitaranam, we may call it in temples, mutts and dharmic places on regular basis. This was done by Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. Then, reformation of temple administration, authorization of Jiyangars to supervise, direct and guide temple fairs and festivals through Sthanacharyas or Ekangis, staunch advocacy of social equality, Vedic supremacy, and Gopura Sandesham, temple tower declaration, or Gopura Sandesham, what we call, Dasa Bhavana, a humble sense of servitude, is very important for Vaishnavas, or annihilation of arrogance, ego, concept of global family or Vasudhaika Kutumbakam, gratitude to the humblest, Tad Bhrutya Bhrutya Parijarika Bhrutya Bhrutya, Bhrutyasya Bhrutya, Iti, Mam Smara Lokanatha, Kurasekara was said in his Mukundamala. They are the few of the basic works of Ramanuja to the glorification of Visishta Sampradaya. Now, this is Ramanuja Sahasrabdi. My great friend, like Srinivasa Rao asked me that I must also make a veritable mention about this Sahasrabdi. Ramanuja Millennium is led by Bhagavad Ramanujacharya as a mentor. Ramanuja's advent into this world was completed 1000 years by 2017. He is the Millennium mentor, as our Prime Minister also had said in his wonderful speech some time back. Satyam, Satyam, Punas Satyam. Yatirajo Jagat Guru. Saeva Sarvalokana. Utthartha Nasti Samshayaha. It is a truth. It is truth again. It's an absolute truth. There is no Jagat Guru other than Ramanujacharya for the entire universe. Ramanuja popularized Dasa Bhavana, Paratantriyam in the place of Swatantriyam, Saranagati, Prapatti through his Saranagati Gajja, Sri Vaikuntha Gajja, and Sriranga Gajja, which he authored. Then what is the quintessence of Visishtadvaita? Srimal Lakshmana Yoginastu Bhavanam Satyam Tadisa Sriyaha Kanto Brahma Sayeva Sokhila Talu Bhirna Tadaschayatanaha Satya Samsut Rishikrakruta Muktistu Bhaktya Tatraptihi Parame Pade Tadrubhucha Kshetam Chakshate. In a simple sloka, it was wonderfully said. It means Lord Sriman Narayana, simply by his sankalpa, ordered the mother nature, made it an instrument, and created this universe. We are actually seeing nature. Whatever we see, what we perceive with our eyes, this is all the nature. It was created by Lord Sriman Narayana. This is a truth. It is neither illusion nor delusion. And Lord Sriman Narayana is the only universal controller, the universal supreme Godhead, and the animate and inanimate objects, they are all the parts of his body. And it means he embodies the entire nature, the objects, animate and inanimate. Jivatma is different. Paramatma is different. They are not one and the same. Jivatma is ordinary soul. Paramatma is a super soul. Both are different. They are not one and the same. Yajjad bhavyam bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanarupam. What Kulsekara said. We take our body according to our actions we have done earlier. Therefore, by adoration, by devotion, by surrender, it is possible to achieve and attain Lord Sriman Narayana, who happens to be the Parabrahma. This is the quintessence of Vaishnavism. Similarly, it is a mandate that the Sri Vaishnava must approach an Acharya, a Guru, and undergo Pancha Samskara. What is this Pancha Samskara? It is a wonderful practice in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya that the process of Pancha Samskara involves tapas, just giving impressions, and or branding the disciples' shoulders with the symbols of Lord Vishnu, Shankha and Chakra. The Pundra is the Swarupa, the sectarian mark, the vertical line as you see on my face, of the Lord's lotus feet, giving a spiritual name like Narayana Dasa, Govinda Dasa, Ramanuja Dasa to the disciple, importing the three mantras, namely Ashtakshari, Dvayamantra, and also Charama Shloka. Saradharman Parityajya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vrija, Ahantva sarvabhabebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaga. This is the called Charama Sloka of Bhagavad Gita. These three have to be chanted on daily basis. And finally handing over a salagrama or other idols or objects for daily worship, Bhagavad Aradhana. This fine samskara is good enough to secure and imbibe the blissful world of Sriman Narayana. But in practice, he finds his past karma and present weaknesses as obstacles to spiritual progress. Thus, a Jivatma or a creature is forced to surrender himself at Lord's lotus feet for redemption of his sins and relief from the mundane world. This is technically called Saranagati or Prapatti in our parlance, or what you call just surrendering every responsibility at the lotus offering at the lotus feet of Lord Sriman Narayana. And the devotee who does it is known as Prapanna. To accomplish this task, the Prapanna needs a mediator who connects him to the lotus feet of the Lord. Hence, the need for Guru or Acharya who helps him to attain God. This vicarious employment of a teacher is otherwise called Bharanyasa. And then, coming to Ramanuja's wonderful literary works, he has authored 9 things. Vedanta Saram, Vedanta Deepam, Vedanta Sangraham, Sri Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam, Sri Charanagati Gajja, Sri Vaikuntha Gajja, Sri Ranga Gajja, Nityagrantham, and Sri Bhashyam. Sri Bhashyam is the magnum opus of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. Now, after some time, there had taken place a split, a division in Sri Vaishnava followers. They are called Vadagalais and Tengalais. A sectarian split took place after the demise of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. This division led to 2 branches, Vadagalai and Tengalai Sampradayas. Each developed its own set of works, lineage of Acharyas and traditions too, though both adore Bhagavad Ramanuja as their Paramaguru. The Vadagalais advocated Sanskrit works on the path of bhakti and more conservative in their relation to the lower caste. Whereas the Tengalais, on the other hand, they preferred the Tamil works to the Sanskrit ones and laid great stress, in fact, greater stress on prapatti or surrender based on Marjara Kisora Nyaya, which implies the kitten totally depends on the mother. Vadagalais believe in Markada Kisora Nyaya, which implies that the child monkey clings to its mother. However, both meet, eat, and have intermarriage relationships among the Vaishnavas. So this division has not obstructed the intermingling of the both people in their affairs and in their family functions, etc. Vadagalai Sampradaya, Kuresha or Kurattalvar, the prime disciple of Bhagavad Ramanuja, was the first successor of Ramanuja for Vadagalais. He was followed by Varadacharya, also known as Nadadur Ammal, and Atreya Ramanuja, and Vedanta Desika or Venkatanatha. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashalini Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. This is the adoration to Vedanta Desika. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. The Chandogya says that unless you have an Acharya, you will not attain Bhagavad Prapti. You will not be able to get the Bhagavad. So one should have Acharya according to Vaishnavas. And Vedanta Desika Swami, who lived from 1268 to 1370, about 100, a little more than 100 years, he represents the Vadakala Sampradaya. He is the greatest Acharya of the Ramanuja. For about 70 years, he enriched the Sri Vaishnavism with his excellent teachings and works numbering more than 100. His amazing grit on Sanskrit literature, his poetic excellence and beauty of the literary style and deep spiritual insight mesmerized his followers. He is the Gita Bhashya Tatparya Chandrika, Tattva Tika, Adhikarana Saravani, Rahasyatraya Sara, Hamsa Sandesha are a few of his best books. He was honored with the titles Kavitarkika Simham. It is he who preserved and protected Sutta Prakashika in Srirangam during Mohammedan invasion. It will be interesting to note how he has braved to save Sutta Prakashika from the dirty hands of the Mohammedan invasion. Let me also share with you, in 1327, Srirangam was badly invaded by Malik Kafar, the general of Khilji, who planned to loot the city of Srirangam and destroy the sacred shrine of Ranganatha. Vedanta Desikan braved an adventure. He hid the main deity of the temple behind a newly built wall, duly placing a duplicate deity in the front. The processional deity, on the other hand, was smuggled out by Pillai Lokacharya and his disciples and carried to Tirupati, where it was worshipped secretly for several years. The Ranganayaka Mandapam in Tirumala temple, what we see now after we enter into the temple from Mahadwaram, it is the living testimony of this bravado. Back in Srirangam, the most valuable manuscripts such as Sutta Prakasha, the wonderful commentary on Sri Ramanuja's magnum opus, Sri Bhashyam, was about to be destroyed. Desikan ventured to hide himself amongst the thousands of the Sri Vaishnavite corpses, the dead bodies, killed by the meandering iconoclasts. The meandering iconoclasts, Vigraha Dhamsak, with the manuscripts and thus protected them from the brutal hands of invaders. Later, he left to Karnataka with the manuscripts. Then, later, Vedanta Desikan in the lineage was succeeded by Nambilla, or what you call Lokacharya. He wrote Yidu commentary on Tiruvayamuli. It is called Bhagavad Vishayam. It's a very popular one. Then Pillai Lokacharya, the Tengalai sect traces the Acharya Parampara of Ramanuja through Embar, Parachara Bhattar, Nanjiyar, Nampillai, Krishnapada, Pillai Lokacharya, Tirumalasai Yalvar, Manavada Mamuni, or Varavara Muni, what we call. And Pillai Lokacharya lived from 1264 to 1327. Tolayam Samanejapam Lokarya Mahamastaye Sri Krishna Padataniyam Tatpadam Bajaza Sritaman. This is the adoration to him. Among them, Pillai Lokacharya was a contemporary of Vedanta Desika and a champion of Telangana Sampradaya. Dr. Ikral Vedavyasa belongs to Telangana Sampradaya. He is also considered in general as the founder of Tengalism as a distinct sect. He was a scholar of brilliant intellect. Sri Vajana Bhushana was his great work written in support of the philosophy of Sharanagati. He composed 16 treatises for women and the common folk on the secret doctrines of Sri Vaishnavism, such as Nigamanappadi, Mumukshupadi, Tattatraya, Ardha Panchaka. These are the books he has mainly written. And then Manavada Mamuni, Srishaile Sadayapatram Dibhakchari Gunarnavam Yatindra Pravanam Vande Ramyajama Taram Munim. This is the primary prayer in the morning hours we chant in our houses and temples. Manavada Mamuni, who lived from 1370 to 1443, succeeded Lokacharya and Sri Sailesha. He is also called Alagaya Manavada or Varavara Muni. He was a master of Dravida Veda. He gave a definite shape to Tengale Sampradaya by his wonderful, charismatic appeal. His followers believe that he was the incarnation of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. We know Prativada Bhayankara Annan Swami, who lived between 1321 1454. No, next in importance is Prativada Bhayankara Annappan Swami, who wrote Sri Venkateswara Suprabhatam, Stotram, Prapatti, and Mangala Sasanam. It establishes that God is Ananta Kalyana Guna Visishta, embodiment of all auspicious qualities, in contrast to Nirguna Swarupa, Nirguna Nirakara Parabrahma Swarupam according to Advaita philosophy. In Venkateswara Suprabhatam, the Kalyana Gunas, the auspicious qualities are listed out. Lakshmi Nivasa Niravajya Gunaika Sindho Samsara Sagara Samuttaranika Seto Vedanta Vejja Nija Vaibhava Bhakta Bhogya, like that. Sriman Nabhishta Varada Kilaloka Bandho Sri Srinivasa Jagade Kadayika Sindho, like that. The entire Suprabhatam extols the divine radiance of Lord Sriman Narayana. Then a word about surrender. What is the Saranagati? Saranagati or Prapatti or surrender is the main principle in Sri Vaishnava Siddhanta. And this says, Anukulesa Sankalpaha Pratikulasya Varjanam Rakshasatiti Viswasaha Kroptatva Taranam Tatha Apta Nikshepa Karpanye Shadbhidaha Saranagati. Saranagati or surrender embodies 6 principles. Number 1, we have to develop the qualities that are pleasant to God. What pleases God, we have to adopt those qualities first. Number 2, we have to shun, we have to quit, we have to give up those qualities which are against the delight of God. 3, we should have Achavasaya, which is God in Sampradaya. We should have infinite faith that we have been taken care of by God. 4, we have to pray at the lotus feet of God to save us, to guard us, to protect us. 5, what is best and dear to us, we have to offer them to God. 6, we should always make a mention that we are not capable of solving our problems. We are not efficient enough to save ourselves. Except you, we have none else to pray. And this is what is called the Charama Shloka in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Yekam Saranam Vraja Ahantva Sarvapapebhyo Mokshayishyami Masijaha. Then, the lineage of Vaishnavism, let me also touch upon certain things. Sri Vaishnava Mats and GS. Sri Vaishnava Mats are the repositories of Sat Sampradaya headed by pious householders or GS. For example, Ahovila Matham in Andhra Pradesh, Parakala Matham in Mysore, Andaman Matham in Srirangam, Vanamavalaya Matham in Nangundindri, Tamil Nadu state, Yadugiri Iduraja Matham in Mysore, etc. They are prominent mats. Besides these, there are about 10 to 12 peethams in Andhra Pradesh headed by GL Swamijis and Telangana also propagating Sri Vaishnavism. There are Ramanuja Kutams Also across India and elsewhere, they provide boarding and accommodation facilities for Sri Vaishnava pilgrims, devotees, and organize discourses also on Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. Sri Vaishnava Seva Samstha in Hyderabad or Parepalli by Ramanujakutam in Vijayawada. These are certain things. These are all very important. There are a number of mutts and Ramanujakutams elsewhere across the country. Divya Saketam in Hyderabad, headed by His Holiness Chennajira Swamiji, is gradually emerging as the capital of Sri Vaishnavism in Hyderabad, headed by Sri Chennajira Swamiji. Then, coming to Yuskafi, I am talking about Ekirala Vedavyasa in lineage of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. Dr. Ekirala Vedavyasa, a wonderful personality. He was born in 1934, continued the legacy of Sri Vaishnavism in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana and around the world. He was a professor of zoology at the tender age of 19 years and got selected to Indian Administrative Service at the young age of 23 years. He served for about 30 to 35 years in higher civil service in combined states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. He obtained a doctorate on Mahabharata, astronomical dating, and later also a postdoctoral degree like D.Litt also. With his indomitable will, indefatigable energy, ethical and intellectual excellence, and versatility in Vedas and astrology, he spread Sri Vaishnavism in his inimitable style. He constructed 5 temples and University of Vedic Sciences, Rishi Vatika, a wonderful thing, Rishi Vatika in Madhurapalli, Vedavyasa Bharati Gurukula Vidyapeetham also, launched Yoga Mitra Mandali, Satsang, centers across the Telugu states and the world. He lectured at the World Parliament of Religions exactly on the same date after 100 years of Swami Vivekananda, spoke at the United Nations and written about 85 to 100 books on varied subjects like Indian culture, astronomy, astrology, Sri Vaishnavism, and wonderful book is what is that? Ethics, education, like that. And Vedavyasa was considered to be a Rishi among IAS officers and an IAS officer among Rishis. He consecrated Lord Venkateswara temple with Salagrama stones at Duddukur in East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh and Vedavyasa temple in Bangalore. Sri Bhagavad Rasamritam, which runs into 1200 pages, was his masterpiece besides 20 books on spiritual research, 6 books on astrology, 13 books in English, etc. are his rich contributions to Hindi Vedic lore. As a Sri Vaishnava of a wonderful order, he did a lot of good things. Wherever he did, he himself was a preacher, a practitioner, a spiritualist, a yogi, and also a saint and a great scholar, all in one. Dr. Vedavyasa's Yuskapi consists of the most disciplined, dedicated band of brigadiers of Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. The legacy of Bhagavad Ramanuja is ably being continued by Vedavyasa's brigades with utmost loyalty and abiding faith. Etani tani bhavanatraya pavanani sansara roga sakali karanaushadhani jikhvatale mama likhani yadhasilayam Ramanujeti Chitarani Amrudaksharani. This is Bhagavad Ramanuja. Starting from Ramanuja down to Vedavyasa, the lineage is being continued with a total admiration, commitment, and loyalty. Before I conclude, I would like to make a mention about the last message of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya as a Millennium mentor. Sribhasya Dravidagama Pravachanam. Sribhasya Dravidagama Pravachanam. Sishasthale Swaswaham. Kainkaryam. Yadasailanitya vasadihi. Sardhat vayocharanam. Yadva bhagavat abhimana vasadihi. Sriya sadam itchilam. Sishyanam parahidishvara paramagat. Vishnu padam shashvata. Yet, on the before night, he passed away. He asked his disciples to come together. They had told them that I am leaving this mortal body tomorrow. My dear children, take care of the sampradaya. They all in their emotion choked voice wept and prayed to Bhagavad Ramanujacharya to tell them what they should do when he leaves. He said this. What did he say? My dear Shishyas, recite the Sri Bhashya. If you cannot do that, don't worry. Recitation, tuition, propagation, discoursing of Divya Prabandham, what I call Nalayana, which is called Dravida Veda Sagaram, or service in any temple of Lord Vishnu of the kind of your ability. If you cannot do that, don't bother. Reside on regular basis in male quota. If it is not possible for you, then don't bother. Keep on chanting Vaya mantra, remembering the meaning of it. The two-line word, mantra. Even if it is not possible for you, don't bother. Be an object of favor and love by any Bhagavatottama or Vaishnava. If nothing is possible for you, try to become endeared to any Vaishnava. As I have already submitted, Vaishnava is not simply born a Brahmin born. Anyone who has a son, this material jealousies and all things, is a Vaishnava. Having an Acharya is a Vaishnava. The members of Yuskapi are the Parama Vaishnavas according to me. I have been seeing them across what they have been doing in their satsangs. And this is what Dr. Ikirala Vedavyasa has done. And he continued the legacy handed over to him from the times of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, even before them onwards. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity of sharing my ideas with you. Whatever little I have known and understood, I try to share with you. Anything worth, it goes to God. Anything unworthy, it goes to me. Thank you very, very much. Namaskar. Dasoham Kosalendrasya Ramasya Krishta Karmanaha Hanuman Shitra Sainyana Niganta Marutatmajaha Namo Narayanaya.